All right. Today we are going to be talking about primary and secondary sources, okay, and the differences between the two. So the long-term goal here is we're going to learn how to cite specific textual evidence to support analysis of primary and secondary sources, connecting insights gained from specific details to an understanding of the text as a whole. So that's kind of the long-term goal that we're going to work towards. Okay, for today we are going to be discussing the differences between primary and secondary sources, as well as practicing how to identify them. Okay, so we'll start off with primary sources. Okay, so primary, let's define it in your own words. So what would a primary source, or what does primary mean? Yes.
Meaning like the first or like the most central point of thought?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so not made or coming from something else, original, and most importantly, first. Okay, first hand. All right, it's first hand, and it's coming directly from the original source. Okay, it's secondary sources. What would be the definition of secondary?
Coming from a different person, not the first person, but another one who heard it by word of mouth or by print or something.
Exactly, yeah, and it's second hand, right?
Yeah.
And in terms of history, we're looking at sources that were created after the historical event occurred. Okay, second hand, as I said, and it's not original, taken from someone or something else. Okay, so with that in mind, with a partner, brainstorm 4 examples of types of primary sources and 4 examples of types of secondary sources. Okay, so just take a minute.
All right.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Primary source would be like a journal entry
Yeah.
or like a letter or like
A recording. Like
yeah,
someone being like
and like
interviewed.
an annotation of something.
Yeah, and secondary would be like an article about it.
Yeah, or like a historical, like something in a textbook, someone who heard about something. So that's like a recount. Or like a police statement, like maybe a police officer making a statement about like what a witness told him.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Good. Yeah, those are all good examples. Okay, we got a little video here, kind of summing up. If it'll work.
Martin Luther King. Secondary. Right?
Yes. That is correct.
That's what I thought.
All right, so
I like that.
exactly what you guys were talking about, right? Newspapers are primary sources. Okay, textbooks are secondary sources. Photographs, speeches, primary sources. Right, so you guys had it pretty much right on. We're going to kind of do what they did in the video a little bit, but we're going to look at some primary and secondary sources specific to the attack on Pearl Harbor to kind of put it in a little context of what we're talking about in class. So first example, okay, a map. Would that be a secondary or primary source?
I would say secondary.
So this one is secondary because it's made after the event.
Yeah.
Now a map that
Was actually
was
used.
used to plan the attack would be a primary source, right? Okay, a newspaper article.
A
Primary source. Right. Okay, it was made
Good job,
after the day after the attack. Okay, accounting what happened.
Eyewitnesses.
That is a primary source. Yep. Your textbook. We just talked about this in the video. Right?
Secondary.
It's a secondary source. It's written the events that it accounts or chronicles are in the past. It was written well after most of them occurred. A mini-series or a movie, a documentary. Okay, what would that be?
Secondary.
Right. Good. Okay, so it's secondary because it was made again well after the events that it is looking at. Okay, how about a speech?
Primary.
Primary. So this is the speech
FDR.
FDR gave the day after Pearl Harbor.
Members of the Senate, of the House of Representatives, yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
Okay, so speech, definitely a primary source.
United States of
Oops. All right, so do you have any questions about the differences between primary and secondary sources?
No.
Okay. Feeling pretty good about knowing the differences, recognizing them. So our assignment is going to be for tonight is going to be to find an example of a primary source relating to the attack on Pearl Harbor, or it can be a secondary source. So you get to choose between a primary source or a secondary source. Find an example. Either bring it to class by printing it out or taking a picture, okay, so that you can bring it to class and share it. Or you may create a primary source, okay, like a newspaper article, a letter, okay, a short speech, if you want to use your imagination and be creative. So that's kind of your second option for that assignment.
I like that.
What we're going to be doing tomorrow is we'll be examining our sources that you guys bring in, the examples of the primary, secondary sources, and then we'll begin how to discuss how we'll cite those, okay? Because we're going to be working on research papers, and we're going to be wanting to use our primary and secondary sources in those papers, and in order to do that, we'll have to be able to cite make citations for them. So that's going to be the goal tomorrow, is learning how to cite those sources. Okay.